Hello and welcome to the Nova Show Real Estate Records. I am Tristan Hammett, your host for today's episode. And today we have Kyle Tucker. Kyle is a Utah real estate advisor, investor, and strategist with deep experience helping clients buy, sell, and invest in properties across the state. He combines a forward-thinking approach with a hands-on understanding of the market, guiding others to build wealth and make smart real estate decisions. No fluff, just actionable insights for anyone serious about succeeding in real estate. Let's dive in. Hello, Mr. Kyle Tucker.
Hello, how's it going?
I'm doing great, thank you. So this is the first time Kyle and I have met. We had a lovely conversation on the phone, and I'm really excited for you to be here. I was just mentioning to you beforehand that I've been following you for a while on social media, so I'm excited to get to know you finally. And but first, let's talk about where you're from, and then how did you get into the real estate world?
Absolutely. Well, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Where I'm from, so I'm local. I grew up here in Utah and had the opportunity to leave a couple different times, but stayed just due to the opportunity that exists here. And how I got into real estate, it's kind of a long path, but I was in the tech industry for quite a while. I was a data scientist. I managed various individuals and helped IPO a company and worked for another unicorn company. And anyway, just throughout that journey, I spent a lot of time kind of preparing for an investment portfolio and started doing that. So that started while I was in the tech world, and there was kind of a point that I had done it in such a way that people were like, "Why don't you help other people do this?" And I was like, that's a good question, because I always thought it took a salesperson. And I'm like, I'm not a salesperson. That's not what I do. And they're like, that's why you should do it.
Yeah, because you're not salesy.
Yeah. And they're like, just help people. And like, we have a very like action data-driven approach. And it's just very different than I think a lot of experiences people have in the real estate industry. So I started, it was in 2020, actually, that I started helping others. And I don't know, it's probably 300 or so investors at this point I've supported in growing portfolios.
Okay, which is just wild and blows my mind. But before that, in 2016, you started investing yourself.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what was that drive and that motivator? How did you know that like investing in real estate was what you wanted to do?
Yeah, I didn't. It's one of those things that like, I grew up in a family where my father owned a couple different investments. I didn't really know about them. Like kids don't really know what their parents are doing, I guess, from a financial standpoint. I just knew that real estate was a smart thing to do. And, in my younger years, I think I was, a lot of kids were out partying or drinking or doing whatever. And that wasn't me. I was reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I was doing just different things. Cash Flow Quadrant, various books, and just like, this is my future. This is what I'm going to do at some point, right? I thought it would be way further in the future, and I ran into a mentor that helped me get started in 2016.
Were they a realtor? Or?
They were a realtor.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess to make the story more accurate, I think I ran into them a little after I bought my first home, and then it was like 2016, 2017, I started working with them, and that was a few year relationship, but they really opened up the door to like investing and what that possibility could look like.
Okay. So tell us about your first investment. So you had already bought your primary residence.
Bought my primary. Yep.
And then now you're buying your first investment home. Do you still have it?
I still have it.
You still have it?
I've never sold anything ever.
Oh, okay.
I've tried a couple times, but, I tend to preach and say like, never sell, never sell, never sell. So that first home, it's just a single family house in Lehi, Utah. It's considered what we call a cottage. So it's kind of a smaller home with a smaller driveway. But it's a house, and it's wild because like, I think when I bought it, it was, I don't know if I was negative $50 a month or positive $50 a month. It wasn't a lot. But my goal was, I was in tech and I was like, well, in 30 years, this is retirement. What's $50 a month, right?
Yeah.
And now today, I mean, fast forward with value added, rent add, I think it cash flows like $1,200 or something. So huge pivot over time. So time is important in the investment game.
Absolutely.
So, nothing special about that property really.
Okay.
Just it's seasoned, and it's, I've had it for a while at this point in time.
Okay. And so you still have that property.
Mm-hmm.
That's your first investment that you purchase. And then when did you buy your second one?
So the first investment, the second one came because I'm trying to remember, I actually signed on them at the same time because I think the first one was a spec. It was a new construction ready to like buy right now. And then the second one was a build. So I signed it at the same time, but the build didn't get done. I think the first one closed like June or July of one summer, and then that other one got done like the following spring. So it wasn't too long after.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then like fast forward, you get your license, you start helping people. How did you like find your first client?
Oh, how did I find my first client? I honestly, I think early on, just from an attraction standpoint, like what I was doing on social media and stuff, I let people know that I was kind of working on investing and doing different things. And there was a lot of people that wanted to do it as well. And so, all the friends, all the family, all the people that I talked to that I've known, I'm like, hey, I'm actually getting licensed. I'm helping people do this. Can I support you in building a portfolio? And they were like, yeah, let's do it. And so a lot of it was kind of that inner circle right out of the gate. And then it continued to grow from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. And you've helped a lot of investors.
Mm-hmm.
Do you go to the like investor meetups, or how do you meet so many of these people?
Great question. Yeah, I mean, I do go to investor meetups. I don't think that's where I meet a lot of people because, yeah, I think investor meetups are challenging. That's a whole different conversation.
Okay.
I even I host them, I hold them, but I just genuinely think like networking is key. And I always talk about this, whether you're a real estate agent or whether you're an investor, is you're helping others and working with others, like whatever your background is, you should be, for example, if I have a friend that's like a big fly fisherman or something, right? They become a realtor, they should be the fly fisherman's realtor, right? To everybody that they know. So it's like, where in my ecosystem do I just be the absolute contact because, I am the one that changed the trajectory within an ecosystem that they're familiar with. Right. So
love that.
It's less like, I honestly just haven't found a ton of success with people like a big meetup where people are like, teach me. It's more of like finding people that like their lives would change if we did this and just talking to them about that. And they're like, oh, wow. Like, and they're not really seeking it as much as they are. Like you open up the possibility of what it might become. And I think that's where a lot of my clients, come from. And then they tell their friends and family, and like, the snowball kind of starts rolling from there.
Yeah. And I do want to talk about this snowball because yours kind of snowballed a lot.
Sure.
And so you go from buying a couple properties, helping other people build their wealth. Obviously, you are one of the ones that walk the walk, talk the talk.
Sure.
Like, because you have a lot of doors.
Yeah.
And it's not just in Utah.
It's not just in Utah.
It's not just in Utah. So let's talk about how you expanded and decided that you needed to start investing outside of Utah.
Okay. Yeah. So I don't know at what point that was, but essentially the expansion outside of Utah, there's kind of two pieces of information I think is important to understand with expansion outside of Utah. So I think a lot of people naively think, why would I invest in Utah? It's like, it's in my backyard. Like, why don't I go get more strategic? I hear about all these places and these states and like, where do I go? And it's interesting because part of my background is I coach for a program. It's like an investor education platform, and I help investors all around the country buy investments all around the country. So I have a competitive advantage, I feel like, to the entire Utah market and my peers per se, because I'm constantly stacking what we have in inventory against, what am I looking at in Florida? What am I looking at Texas? What am I looking at Tennessee? Or just, I could go on a whole bunch of places I've evaluated deals with clients. And so then I know, well, what does Utah need to be a better position for this individual? Right? Mm-hmm. Not that I start pushing that on them or sell that to them or anything. I just in my head am taking notes. I'm a data guy, right? So like, what do we need to do to be the best always? And so that's really important to understand, because as you look at Utah actually is, you see Forbes articles, you see US Weekly articles, like Utah's ranked 1 or top 3 in so many publications. Mm-hmm. And so that also reflects in real estate. And some people are like, oh, I didn't like put all that together, but Utah is a great place to invest. Now, it's a great place to invest with a certain strategy. It's also not a great place to invest with a different strategy. So for me, it's a wealth building center, not necessarily a heavy cash flow state. You can get cash flow for sure, but it's a wealth building center. And that's different than like the Midwest, which is focusing cash flow. So that's Utah's starters is like, number one is like recognize what's in front of you and capitalize on it. Whatever Utah's strengths are, capitalize on those strengths, right? And then why do I go out of state? Well, there's weaknesses to Utah. So I'm going to go to which states have the absolute strongest point that's kind of the counter or opposite to Utah to help diversify my portfolio, right? So that's kind of where the birth of, going out of state came from, was diversification and just protecting more for the future per se, right? Utah's not a very strong multiplex state. And, it's very suburban. There's a lot of houses. Like we have multiplexes, but not like other states around the country, right? So that's where my multiplex play comes in. Like I've got ownership on I think it's 126 units in Minnesota, 150 units in Texas, 50 something units in Alabama. And then, we're constantly evaluating deals, and my peers, we've got a group that we buy with all over the country and constantly are evaluating. So, where are the states that are more cash flow focused? Go get those multiplexes. And then that helps kind of round out the portfolio.
So are these a lot of apartments?
Yeah, big apartment complexes.
Yeah. And it sounds like, so it's a group of you.
Yeah.
And then you all just get paid like monthly?
Yeah, it's depending on the deal. I would say probably quarterly. They have a seasoning period, if people understand that. Like there's a period that you don't expect anything back, and then you go into your pay period, and then there's some sort of exit, or like of those different larger multiplex I just described, one of them it's a permanent hold. So we're never planning on exiting, right?
Oh, okay.
So, but on all of them, at least they get to that period where they're paying out, and yeah, you just get an email, says you have distributions, and you just get money, and it's great. So at first it's like a big commitment and you don't see a lot, but then again, time, it comes up again. Time is a massive force in real estate, but now it's just like, oh yeah, there's opportunities, and after they season, they're just producing money for you, and you don't have to do a lot, which is amazing.
Yeah. Okay. And then you have quite a bit of properties in Utah.
Yeah.
How many? 200?
I have over 40 individual units. So the total portfolio is like 370 something. I'm supposed to close on something this week or next. So we'll continue to tick that up, but yeah.
Wow. Okay. Now what are those? Are they mostly single family, or do you have multi?
I have everything. Single family, townhome, condo. I actually don't have any formal multiplexes in Utah.
Okay.
That's an interesting data point. Not that I'm, don't like them or anything. I don't think there is enough of them. And you have a lot of investors like heavily, I don't know if the right word is like hawking that area. Like they're just all over it.
Okay.
And so, cause that's the traditional education pathway for investing is like, you need a multiplex, you need a duplex, you need a triplex. Everything is going to be a non-conforming duplex, triplex, right? Until you get into formal multiplexes that might be 6 units or more. There are, triplex and quadplexes, but like, I don't know, the math in Utah, people just I don't feel like a lot of investors or even agents know how to sell like investment properties in a commercial way. So they're always priced not so well. And you've got to find like these niche pockets off market, the seller finance, the wholesale. And that's how you get that type of stuff. But it's just so, I don't know if the word is like, it's so competitive that like I've tend to kind of refocus and put my efforts in places where like, they're just not like, I don't know if the right words like hawks or vultures around like all the time. Because the moment a deal shows up, it's like, boom, everybody gets it.
Yeah.
And it's like, so we do a lot of like me and my team, we do a lot of deal creation. It's like, we're creating these opportunities that do cash flow, right? Whether it is a non-conforming duplex or triplex, we're creating them out of a single family home.
Oh, okay.
And so that's where we have found like
with a basement apartment, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. All, whether it's a basement apartment or an attachment or like however we do it, it's way more scalable for me and all my investors to create investment opportunity rather than go out there and try to hunt for it.
Gotcha.
Because there's just not enough of it and there's too many hunters. So we create it.
You create it. Okay.
Right.
So you being a data scientist,
sure.
I'm sure every deal that you are getting into, you're like diving into it. What are the numbers? Does this make sense? Like what is the first thing you're looking at?
Oh, I mean, again, it depends on strategy. It really does. Like, what's the goal of this asset? What are we trying to do? Because if we know, I mean, I talk about this with my students and then with my own portfolios. If we know like what we're trying to do with our financial landscape right now, it really like narrows your focus to what you're trying to acquire, right? A lot of people, it's like, oh yeah, there's so many things. It's like, it should be fairly clear on what we're after. Once you get into that lane, what am I looking at right away? Oh man. I don't know. Like, I do a lot of, and this is kind of a unique and weird, but I do a lot of studying and researching. Again, this is where data comes in, but I will pull up city council notes. I'll watch meetings. I'll go look at like, ultimately what I want to know is like, it's hard to find a unit in Utah that's like, oh, this just cash flows a ton of money. And we've kind of mentioned cash flow before, but really your appreciation is where you're going to gain your wealth over time in Utah, right? So to me, and I always tell people this is like, let's say Utah appreciates at 6%, right? Whatever the number is. The thing that people don't understand with that, and I tell this to my students all the time, I said, if you're in a 6% appreciating market and you get 6%, are you satisfied or are you not? And they're always like, yeah. I'm like, no, you should not be. Because if the average is 6%, are you average? That means the guy just living wherever he's living got 6%.
Yeah.
So if you're a strategic investor, that means there's places around you that did 4% and there's places that did 8, maybe 3, maybe 9, right?
How do we get to this 8?
How do we get to the 8? How do we get to the 9? So this is where going back to like the city council notes and all this is I'm trying to understand what's actually happening near this property, not today and not yesterday, but what's in 3 years, what's in 5 years. And I mean, a bigger marker out in the future, this isn't exclusive to any neighborhood, but it's to Utah as a state. We have the Olympics in, almost a decade, right?
Yeah.
It's going to help everyone, right? But when you look at micro developments within neighborhoods and communities, what's coming? So if you get the townhome or the condo right next to where there's eventually going to be a shopping center or a bunch of food courts or, a new hospital or whatever it is, and you just are patient, that will push you from 6 to become the 8 or the 9. And the years that those things around it go online, you start to see like 10, 12, 15. Like I've seen over 30% on some years on some of my assets, which is like, feels like I shouldn't talk about that, but it's like, yeah, we did a great job at like forecasting what was going to happen here. But then if that was the answer, then usually it's no longer the answer. So where is the next opportunity? So the hunt is in the unknown where the public is unaware of what's coming because they're busy with all the things they have in life and they're not focused on like, oh, what's going to happen to this area in 5 years?
Yeah.
So I think that's where for me, if there's one thing I'm looking at, it's less of a number on paper and it's more of and like, I can't even put that on paper. I just know that, hey, if I get a really good asset that I like and I build it or create it in a way that pushes cash flow beyond 0, so I'm not negative, and then I wait it out, I end up in a really good spot.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes. Okay. That was awesome advice.
Cool.
Okay. I want to ask you what has been one of the scariest decisions that you've had to make, but changed the trajectory of your business, that you were fearful of, then you did it.
Oh man. Fearful of, and I did it. I mean, switching into real estate was that, but ever since I've been there, I mean, I've had some big losses. I mean, I don't know if that's valuable to share, but
well, yeah, because people look at real estate on the outside and they're like, oh, it's so glorious. And
yeah, people say you're so lucky.
Yeah.
It's like,
but you've learned a lot.
My teeth I've lost from getting them kicked in every day, whatever. No, I mean, it's just, from a fear standpoint or from a loss standpoint is like, I have gotten involved in some projects, worked with individuals even that ended up, being a learning experience rather than, oh yeah, that was a win. It was a learning experience is what it was. And I've had to distance myself from people. I've learned some really harsh lessons around even people that were close to me that you never, ever in a million years would have thought would stick something to you. It's like, well, the contract reads this way, so we're going to do that. And it's like, wait, what? You're going to do what? And I'm just a person that, like, if I shake on it or talk to you about it, I will always keep that, you know?
Yeah.
And so those were moments that, like, I got hurt several times. And it's really made me realize, like, the value of contracts, the value of not trusting people. I know that sounds terrible, but it's like, get it on paper. It's just, everyone will be better that way. You know, I would never let one of my clients go forward with something without it on paper.
Right.
So why did I ever go forward with things not on paper?
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, some of those moments, it's really hard. Like, there was a deal specifically that, I mean, once you kind of know all the parts to it, which we won't go over all the parts, but there was a balance sheet loss of around like 1.8 million for my wife and I. And
Ouch.
yeah, I think the most I'd ever lost in history up to that date was like 20K at one time. This was very different. And I remember, and I've told this story, if people are listening and heard me talk before, I've told this story, but I remember coming to the realization that the parties that were involved, this is that situation where I thought people wouldn't do this. The parties that were involved, like when I realized it wasn't going to be fixed, that it was going to stick this way, I remember having so much emotion. And I wanted to just be like, I'm done with all of this.
Oh, no.
All of this.
Yeah.
And I remember I couldn't handle it emotionally. And I was kind of going through some coaching at the time that was like helping me to try to embrace emotion versus what as men we've been taught is like, swallow it, don't show it, right? Luckily, I was in my own home, but I was like, I'm just going to go up to my bedroom and I'm just not going to be okay for a while.
Yeah.
And I didn't even make it up the stairs.
Oh.
Like, we had one of those switchback staircases, like platform. Like, I ended up collapsing on the platform and just started crying. And I was like, grown man bawling on a platform. Like, I couldn't even get upstairs. And I was like, I just ruined everything. I messed up everything. Oh. And it was really interesting. And I ended up, kind of getting myself back together. I got up to the bedroom, and then I ended up not even being able to get to bed again because I collapsed on the floor. And it's a valuable story because as I worked through it, I didn't fight the emotion. I embraced it, which I know is a little scary to say. But that's what I was kind of learning at the time with a coach of mine. And I embraced it. And I kind of got to the point where I was like, actually, I am done. Like I'm going to hang it up. We're going to be done. We're just going to, because like, why do we need to keep building? We don't. We already have plenty. I don't need any of this, right? So I came to like a resolve that like I was going to be done permanently out of the real estate industry as an agent, as everything. And it felt good.
Okay.
Which was interesting.
Yeah.
And I went to bed that night knowing like the next day I would figure out, well, what comes next?
Yeah.
And I woke up the next morning and I was like, we're not done. We're just getting started. And it was a huge moment for me of like triumph. And like I think the key point here is I would not have gotten there if I resisted the pain, because I would have just loomed. I mean, and the regret, the guilt, all the things that would have ran through my system is like, I really just embraced all that, felt it. And then it's kind of like if you remember as a little kid when you just cry it out and then afterward you're like, I'm good.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. And that next day, I think, instead of being done, I think that's where I doubled down on like, what did the future actually truly look like? And I think a lot of what exists today was birthed out of that moment.
Yeah. And that's where growth comes, right? Out of pain and or getting over a fear or over something like that. That's where you 100%. Grow, even though we don't want to, and we don't see that like things are going to like, oh my God, like you said, I just messed this all up. I ruined it. But obviously you didn't. Yeah. And you just have grown so much since then. Yeah, absolutely. And kept going.
Yeah. And I think like, I don't know, it's a story of like any individual, there's nowhere in life that's just all sunshine and rainbows. There's always an industry or space or a friend or a family. Like there's always something that's like, it's not what we want it to be per se. And I think that was the moment that there was so much turmoil inside of me, because I was like, I came from big tech where people, I'm working with PhDs, master's degrees, MBAs, right? Like I have degrees myself. And I just like, I was like, why would people ever behave this way? And so that's why I wanted out. I don't want to be near this industry because of XYZ.
Yeah.
And then that was the next day. I was like, no, I need to be in this industry to make it different than what it is.
Yeah.
And that was like, instead of pulling back, it was let's push in. And that's where there was resolve to be like, I really want to make it so that someone else doesn't experience this. So maybe how it happened to me, how could I become, as big as or do as much as maybe the entity or people that did what they did to me, I'm actually kind of make them obsolete. And now I can help others and not ever do that to somebody.
Right.
Right. So that was kind of the goal was like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to grow. We're going to become big enough that if this situation ever happened again, we'll take care of the human being.
Yeah.
Rather than the balance sheet.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that and being vulnerable.
Sure.
I mean, like you said, men are kind of taught to suppress their feelings and to hold back. And I just, it goes to show that it's okay.
Yeah.
Like to have a breakdown when you need one, and you need to feel those emotions sometimes.
Yeah, 100%.
So thank you so much. And so you also own a property management firm, a couple of them, right?
Yeah, one firm, one long-term firm, one short-term firm.
Okay.
The laws are different.
Okay. So how do you feel like, and you do have a team of about 7, right?
Yep. I've got a real estate team as well that I own.
Okay. And you, how do you feel like you manage all of that? And you have a second home in New York.
Second home in New York.
Like, how do you, and you're duly licensed in New York, and you have a broker's license.
Yeah, broker's license in Utah, sales license in New York City. I coach for that one group. I co-own a mastermind that also does some work with some amazing human beings. But I don't know. I think, how do I do it all? I don't know. I think a lot. Like I'm just a busy brain. And
do you feel like the right people in your teams and things like that have really helped?
Yeah. And I think you have to look at like synergies, right? Like it's not, having a property management firm is one of the most challenging things you could ever do in the real estate industry. It is not kind. It is not very profitable. It's not a lot of things. But what it is a synergistic element to white glove service my out-of-state investors from initial contact all the way through to taking care of them for years and years and years. And they introduce me to their friends, and they continue to introduce me. Like a lot of agents, how many of your clients do you work for, and then you don't talk to them anymore, right? If they're your family, sure, that's different than your friends. But like maybe someone was on a team that gives leads, maybe it's a referral of somebody, and like you kind of just do the work and then it's over, right? The interesting thing about my portfolio is I could honestly say like probably 98% of my buyers, I'm still actively engaged with on a routine basis and continuing to grow with them, and then have the opportunity to either, sell assets that they have or continue to expand purchasing for them. And it's a very different piece. And so the challenge of the property management to me is it's a relationship mechanism.
Okay.
Right. And that's how I see it. And so how do I do it? Like all the things is like, it has to make sense why it's there. It's got to fit into the bigger picture.
Okay.
You don't want distractions. You don't want some, I don't know. This is hopefully no one out there gets offended, but you don't want like some I don't know, online e-commerce distraction or something, right? Like if you're dedicated to your craft, you're dedicated to your craft. Mm-hmm. Right. And what are you doing to, further that along and provide value for all the people you're working with? So, and then, I think the final point this goes without saying is like people are so important. And like I've had some amazing people work with me over the years, and I've had some people that weren't so amazing, and you learn that in a very hard way. But the more, at least for me, the more you really work hard to get to know people and find people that care about the vision, they are people that you want to build that with.
Yes.
And it's fun.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that up. And I wanted to touch on like 98% of the people that you've worked with, you're still in contact with. I would say that if you asked most realtors how many, like what the percentages of the people they're still in contact with, it's definitely not 98.
No.
Right? It's probably not even at 50.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's probably not even at 50.
Yeah. So how do you feel like you like, what does that look like for you? What does your follow-up look like? What does your connecting look like? What is I know you have formed relationships with these people.
Yeah.
Are you sending them like
No.
deals you think would be good or
No.
no? Calling to say what's up.
I think if someone really got into my, come hang out at the office, come watch what I do. I'm very unconventional. I'm very not shiny and not like all the things. We just work hard. And that's like when it comes to like, how do we connect with people? We connect with people with what they need right now. Right. It's not like I'm just like sending them a little card in the mail that's like, hello, it's like, hey, whatever it might be, I'm looking over, first of all, from a management standpoint, we're managing their properties.
Mm-hmm.
So, whether it's a conversation on, they have a renewal coming up and we're looking at adjusting the sales, like how do we maximize revenue for them? Like my team handles a lot of the management, but I'll get pricing. I'll get on the phone with them and talk about like, hey, we just, our goal from day one is to maximize your future. That's why we're doing this. And so sometimes, like, especially right now, there's a little bit of softening in the rental market. And a lot of owners kind of freaking out about that. They're like, well, why can't
Does that mean the rents are going down?
Yeah, rents are going down a little bit.
Okay.
So they'll come up on a renewal and all of a sudden, we'll be like, hey, we need to fill it at $200 or $300 less. And they'll be like, oh my gosh, like, why can't you just do it at the same? And it's like, and I even have owners that are like, can you just like, they just ask, like, can you do it at the same? Like, not even asking if we're capable, but like requesting that we just go try to market it at the same price. And my conversation is like, yeah, but your goal is to keep as much money in you and your family's pockets. That's my goal too. Me lowering the rent is not to take money away from you. It's to prevent, a $200 discount for a 12-month contract is $2,400. Well, if your rental is more than $2,400 a month, it makes sense to fill that thing at a $200 discount and not lose a month's rent than it does to wait a month or 2 or 3 to fill it. And now look what we've done. Right. And so it's a lot of those hard conversations. Part of my background in tech was I used to consult executives. And so I'm not afraid to talk to any owner and just bring alternative ideas to what they might want. I'm always there to listen to them. And ultimately I work for them. So I will do what they ask. But there's always kind of that time of reasoning of like, hey, have you considered this? And they're like, and it's not crazy. It's not complicated, but a lot of people are busy and they're just not focused and they don't think that through. Right.
Yeah.
And so we are focused on, getting money in their pocket. And, then there's a moment right there where, as if you get really into what we do, touch point with owner, right? That's how I keep in touch. And then I'll say like, after we get it rented out or whatever, hey, it was so good chatting with you again. How's the family? Whatever it might be. And then also ask like, we love supporting people just like you. Is there anyone that comes to mind that we could reach out with and do the same thing we're doing for you for them?
Yeah.
And it's not like I don't have some big fancy referral. It's like I film videos and I just send them a video thanking them for working with me and trusting me. And I love working with them and I'd love to work with more people like them. So let us know who you know.
Yeah. So there's been 2 words that have been like popping up in my mind as we've been talking. And one of them is trust.
Yes.
And I just feel like your people trust you.
A lot.
And the second word that's coming up for me is real.
Okay.
Like you seem so real to me and like just genuine that it's like, that's probably why people just trust you. You're being just so honest.
Yeah.
And like you really, and then there's that, like facts and data and like to back it all up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like this perfect, like not storm, but it's like this perfect, beautiful, like circle of how this all is working for you.
Yeah. I don't know. And that's maybe where that unconventionalist comes from is like, traditionally you think real estate, you think shiny salesperson that's going to hustle me. And like, I don't know, that's not necessarily always the vibe, but I think you portray it enough in movies and in different things and experiences people had. That's what comes to mind. And my hope and desires when they interact with me is like, I think of my background in tech and how many consultant firms we engaged with when we had, a very unique need. We'd bring in various firms from around the country and they were just so like the authorities on the subject matter. They knew, and they were going to take care of you and you were going to get to where you needed to go. And so I've really built kind of, I think, my aura around like, how do I be that advocate and that authority of like, we've got you and we know we have you. And part of that is like, I'm very real when we know we can't do something, right? It's not like, I mean, that's the biggest red flag in any agent is when they're willing to do anything. Like, oh, I can do it all, you know?
Right.
No, you can't.
But you being honest and having those conversations is what builds that trust. It's like, okay, well, this guy, he is the expert, I guess, you know, like.
Yeah, they might come to you. This is such a silly example, but they might come to you and be like, hey, I want the color green from you. You're like most agent backup, like they're like, maybe they provide the color red. I don't know what, that's a really weird analogy, but it's like, I could get you some green. My response is, hey, I don't do green. I provide red.
Yeah.
If that's of interest, let's talk about that. And then they're usually, instead of being like, oh, no, I'm not for you, they're usually like, yeah, tell me why. And then I start talking about why. And then they're like, I actually want that more. Like I've had some clients, it's crazy. I have some clients that, you know, they're contacts from all over the country. They hear about Utah. They talk to me. They come tell me what they want. And I think what's created a lot of business is they tell me the surface. And then I ask them like, okay, you're saying this. Is it that you really want this? And if you really want that, do you really want this? Like you're going in layers, because I've done it enough now. It's like there's patterns in everything, right? And they're like, oh my gosh, you're so right. Yes and yes. And so then I'll be like, well, if we get down to this level and they're like, yes, that's what I really want. I'm like, so we actually achieve that better by doing this thing rather than the thing you came to me for.
Yeah.
And then they're gonna be like, well, then let's do that thing. And they're just ready to go, right? Because I'm trying, again, it's creation. It's matching what the ecosystem or what Utah provides to what their true goals are versus trying to sell them on Utah or pitch them or whatever. It's just like, here's what it is. And if you really care about these things, we're the right shop for you. Mm-hmm. So, and even people that we might not be, there are some folks that are like, yeah, that's not what I'm looking for. And I'm like, and I usually tell them like, you probably shouldn't be buying in Utah right now. And then sure enough, they're the ones that I get a referral from their friend or their cousin that does, you know, it does align or match with in the state of Utah. So it's really fascinating that I think being real and honest with people creates far more business than white lying or being servicey. Yeah. Yeah. Which is, I think, alternative to what the industry and the professionals in the industry think.
Yes. Yeah. I heard this, I was in this training a while ago and they were talking about, okay, you hear buyers are liars. And it's like, but that's not what's happening here. They're telling you things, but they can't articulate what they actually want. So it's like your job to ask the questions. They're not lying. Yeah. They just don't know how to articulate and why this is important to them. Totally. Right? So I just love that you brought that up, because it's like you are asking deeper questions to really understand and connect with what their end goal is.
Yeah. It's valuable. And I mean, there's a whole bit we could go off on this and we don't need to, but yeah, really understanding people and human needs rather than even on like a traditional, like primary resident buyer, when the, you know, whether it's the husband or the wife, the husband wants the garage and the wife wants the, you know, the entertainment space and whatever it might be. That's not actually what they want. Because if you start to really get into psychology and as human beings operate, you start to get into what they're truly chasing down at the bottom of all of it is an emotion. Mm-hmm. Right? Because if you even think of like entertainment space, you think of like family, friends, loved ones, entertaining, you know, dining, whatever it might be. And you think of fun, you think of laughter, you get a little feeling, you know, and you're like, so that's what we're after. So can it be created in other ways? Because not everybody's experienced life in every sort of facet. And so it's really getting in with that of just like, it goes with investors too. What are you truly after? And how else can we achieve that? Then maybe, I will just say this, I think a lot of folks think we achieve those feelings by doing the things that we've observed or are told to us. And there's a lot of opportunity to challenge that because there's a lot of other ways to create those same feelings. Yeah. So take control back rather than chase what someone else has told you to chase.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have a lot of like confidence in like your knowledge. Sure. Are you like always up to date on like what's going on in like education and like, so you can have these conversations? Cause I feel like not every person would be able to have these conversations that you're having.
Honestly, I think it's less like research. I'm always trying to learn and improve. And I think a lot of my inner circle thinks and behaves this way. And I think it's kind of cliche to bring up, but it's like we do a tremendous amount of work on ourselves, right? Different kinds of healing, different kinds of therapy. We're in leadership and development programs where these are the questions that are being asked to us all the time. I've been asked why so many times about things. And it's like, now I understand I don't give the surface answer anymore, because that's not what actually starts to create a really deep conversation. And so I think as it's been pulled out of me, I've become very, I don't know, like it's a habit to just like kind of go there with people and just see like, what else is going on here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh my gosh. We are like, I feel like we haven't even like gone, like there's so much
speed
more.
round, go.
I know. I'm like, okay, marketing. What do you do for marketing? So you do social media.
I do social media. I've been off social media quite a bit because we're just almost too busy, and I don't want more business, but yeah, I do social media.
Okay.
Probably my main marketing, honestly. It's a trust mechanism. It's back to trust. It's back to identity. Yeah.
Okay. And like, where do you see yourself in 5 years, 10 years?
Oh man. That's a hard question. I don't know how real I can be with the camera. I would say that like for me, real estate's a vehicle. I think there are other vehicles that can take me where I'm headed. I do think I desire to build companies, systems, products, whatever it might be. I want to take care of people in a way that they truly are taken care of. But
is this real estate related or not real estate?
Yeah,
related?
real estate related. But I think what I'm getting at is I want to remove myself from being the piece that's needed to get people there. Oh. That's a constant looming battle that I have. And that's what's hard, because it's hard to say, and it's even hard to draw an analogy, but it's like I've been playing in it as an investor, not just a realtor, for a decade, and 300 plus doors in acquisition, plus coached on hundreds and hundreds of doors, plus had peers that, one of my mentors has over like 1,400 doors at this point. And so seeing and like being part of all of this, right? The difference is like, you think of like a basketball player that's played in the NBA finals and how it's second nature for them to get under pressure, to perform, to know what to do, versus maybe the young kid that's incredibly talented, but doesn't have that seasoned experience. Right. And so like, it's really difficult to like teach somebody or train somebody. Like I need someone that just is like, they own a bunch of real estate. They know, like they get it, but they also might have a desire to move in a different direction. Right. So it's kind of hard for me, because when you ask where I am in 5 or 10 years, like it's hard. It's actually, I've crossed the point where it's hard for me to talk to the brand new investor, because I don't like, I'm so that like, and this is not me trying to like,
no, I understand.
Flex by any means, but it's like I feel disconnected. And a lot of people tell me that. They're like, you just act like everything's never a problem. So I'm like, it'll be fine. Like, we got you. And they're like my life is changing right now. And I'm like, it's fine. You're going to be fine. And they're like,
buckle up.
Yeah. And it's like, but I've seen it, like, it's not just like, because some people are like, well, what if? I have so many people get so like fear overcomes their entire investment journey. And I'm like, with sound principle, like you will get where you're headed if you can stay in principle and not get caught up in all the emotion that we all experience. I experience it, right? So that's like, I'm rambling here, but 5 to 10 years, it's really like, I would love to replace myself in many ways and continue to help change lives the way mine's been changed, but not with me as the bottleneck, because I have noticed it actually creates a really, I can't help as many people if I'm the bottleneck. Service-based industry is very hard to scale.
Yeah.
And I've learned that the hard way. And so I don't know, where am I? I'm not a guy to say like I'm off on a boat or on the golf course or yacht or whatever. Like, sure, we can have activities like those things, but I might have, I desire to have businesses in other industries and impact people in other ways, because not everybody touches and feels the real estate industry. And I think there's human beings that I want to interact with that are in a different circle.
Okay.
So.
Well, I love that. Thank you. And what is one piece of advice you would give your new agent self?
New agent self. It's going to be okay. When you start, you're freaking out all the time. I just feel for my new agents out there. It's like, how do I get dinner next week? It's like, it's going to be okay. And be deeply, deeply dedicated to the identity of where you're going rather than the achievements.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I think we chase merit so much that people, I think, forget, and even myself, like I forget, well, the person that is doing things at that level, who are they actually? And what habits do they have? What do they do on a routine basis? Because people don't just achieve out of nowhere. Their outer world is a reflection of their inner world. So what inner world is changing, and how do you work on self to become the person that can transact however many transactions a year or help however many people? It's definitely, in my opinion, it's not a marketing thing. It's an identity thing.
Yeah. Dang. Oh, this was so good.
Sure.
I thank you so much for being here and
Thanks
just
for having
sharing.
me.
We could have talked about so many other things.
Let's start over.
Okay, and where can people follow you?
Instagram, just Kyle Tucker. That's it. It was very hard to get that because there's a pro baseball player, and I have it, not him. So I've been at mention more than I can. I was actually,
like,
this is
what
funny.
is this?
2 cents on this. I was at Home Depot and someone's like the baseball player. And I was like, yeah. And I have the handle. And he reached out across the register and kind of grabbed my arm. He's like, I think I cussed you out a few weeks ago on Instagram. I'm sorry. And I was like, it's fine. Because I know pretty quick. I'm like, this is not for me. Like, what is this? And so it was so funny. Home Depot. So Kyle Tucker, that's it on Instagram. I used to have longer hair and stuff. I think that's the image still, but yeah, that's my main point. The other platforms are just a little additive, but Instagram.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Kyle. I've really enjoyed talking to you today, and I know that whoever listens to this is going to gain so much value and information. So
well, thanks for having me.
Yes.
And I'm excited to share and get to know others and just continue to help the industry here in Utah.
I love it. Thank you.
Thanks.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. Please rate us, like us, and share this podcast with our real estate community. The Nova Show Real Estate Record, sharing raw stories of real estate failures, lessons, wins, and successes. This is all from Novation Title, bringing a different experience into your world so that we can all uplift each other. Until next time.